The morning after the last presidential election, I built a blanket fort in our living room. And I stayed in it for 2 days. Now we're talking a serious blanket fort here. So I dragged out the mattress from the guest room into the living room, pushed all of the couches up towards the mattress, and then, you know that the art of a blanket fort is finding the right balance of sheets and blankets, but you also have to figure out how to give it an actual roof and some structure over it and make it taut. So I pulled out some bungee cords. It seemed like the right combination was 4 sheets and 2 blankets, and a lot of bungee cords and knots on them. I had to get it just right so that it had an entrance, but there were no other holes. You can't have holes at the top of your blanket fort or else it's not a blanket fort. So you all should have seen how much our 2 dogs and 4 cats loved this blanket fort. They thought it was for them. And we have never seen them coexist quite so peacefully because they all wanted to be either on or in the blanket fort. And I think their favorite moment was when we ordered pizza and brought it in to the blanket fort. I'm not sure what I expected to gain from this blanket fort. It gave me a sense that I could hide from the world. It was this silly illusion that I could feel safe. And let me just be clear, my safety was not as much in question as that of our siblings of color, our immigrant siblings, and our Muslim siblings. But I felt that somehow, by hiding in the fort, I could protect myself and somehow, by extension, everyone else that I knew might be scared. After a couple of days, and the cats laying on the blanket fort and the ceilings caving a little bit, I emerged, and I got mentally prepared for the long haul. So how many of you are familiar with the quote by the Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King about the moral arc of the universe? Awesome. So King said, "The arc of the moral universe is long, but it bends towards justice." So how many of you knew that what King was actually referencing was a Unitarian minister when he said that? We've got some long-time UUs in here. Yes, it was Theodore Parker who actually used that term first. He was a Unitarian minister, abolitionist, and transcendentalist. And in 1853, Parker said, "I do not pretend to understand the moral universe. The arc is a long one. My eye reaches but little ways. I cannot calculate the curve and complete the figure by the experience of sight. I can divine it by conscience. But from what I see, I am sure it bends towards justice." So today is a momentous day. And it's also just another day. We can't calculate the curve of the arc today, but we can make a commitment to the long haul of justice. I have been so impressed by you this week. And who am I kidding? I was impressed by you before I even got here this week. But I am even more impressed with your commitment, your community, your heart. I'm getting ahead of myself. But do you know what first drew me in? It was your vision statement. To be a spiritual community for our time, theologically diverse, radically inclusive, and justice-centered. I saw that and I went, these are bold people. They are courageous people. And that is a statement that we will always need to be working on. I don't think you ever say, check, we're done. Through your vision, I immediately saw that you were not afraid of a challenge. I was also initially attracted to your focus on justice, which is known far beyond these walls, I should let you know. Because, my dears, there are so many issues we need to address. Anti-racism, treating immigrants and refugees with dignity, environmental justice, reforming our prison system, reproductive justice, supporting our public schools, LGBTQ issues, and all of the other things that I know that you care about. We need to do what I call all the things. All the things. There is so much that we need to do. And we need to not relent, but keep a strong, steady focus on what our values call us to do. Especially during these times when it seems like there are strong forces, and some of them are ever growing, that seem so contrary to our values. This is the work of the long haul. So President Obama was actually a big fan of Theodore Parker and the MLK quote. And my friend, the Reverend Diana McLean, pointed out to me that he added his own special spin on that, which is very relevant to our Unitarian Universalist faith. On the 40th anniversary of the March on Washington, he referred to the quote, but then added this: "The arc of the universe may bend toward justice, but it does not bend on its own." It doesn't bend on its own. It needs help. It needs a hand grounded in values that come from a spiritual community that give us a moral standing in this work. We are not just activists and people interested in social justice. We are those people grounded in our values of how we should treat each other and our world. So how do we bend it? Well, like I said, we work and we work and we work. We show up. And we're all working to bend it in different ways. Some of us are doing it through our professional careers as well as our personal endeavors. Some of us are doing it by caring for others, our children, our parents, our spouses and partners, our friends. Some of us are young enough that we're just waiting for the adults to get out of the way so we can get our hands on that ark. And some of us are working hard to just exist, with microaggressions or macroaggressions due to our basic identities. We show up at the state legislature, we write letters, we march, we sign petitions, we call our representatives. And the biggest question that people have asked me today, and that they have been hesitant to ask me, yes, also your minister gets arrested when she needs to. We do all the things. But seriously, people, don't you get tired? Yes. Like, sometimes I get tired. This long haul work is exhausting. And that's where the other part comes in. Because when I was first looking at the Unitarian Universalist Congregation of Phoenix, I was drawn to that justice work. But do you know what I found even more compelling is your sense of community. You all have huge hearts, and you were vulnerable enough to share them with me this week. And there were some sacred moments in my time with you this week. And that community is so critical because that is also how we bend the arc. There are three things that community provides us with that we need for that long haul. It gives us a way to nurture our souls for the long haul. It gives us the opportunity to care for each other. And most importantly, it gives us a microcosm in which we can practice bending and living that arc. We nurture our souls by exploring what feeds us. We try on different spiritual practices. We share our stories and learn from each other. We get fed by soul-nourishing music, and we rest. Even if it's just an hour a week, we rest. We take care of each other by making connections within the community. We find out about the great work that we are each doing, and we support each other as we continue that work. When one of us falls down, we help pick them up and take care of them until they can go it on their own again. We bring meals. We provide rides. We listen. We show that we care. And most importantly, we practice bending that arc right here, right in this community. We are all practicing how to just be better humans. And we need space to practice, to fail, to be forgiven, to try again, and practice some more. We are the ones we've been waiting for, right here. We need to practice governing ourselves with the democratic process. We need to practice treating each other kindly with the assumption of goodwill. We need to practice how to go through the process of repairing relationships when there has been damage. All of these things we don't come by naturally. We need to practice right here. Here's a few of the ways that I've seen how UUCP builds community and nurtures each other this week. I've had a total of 32 events this week. 32. 32. And many of those meetings had 3 or 4 even committees represented in them. I am astonished by how much you all are doing, how much is getting done, and the spirit and community in which you are doing it. You all have done amazing work during your interim period. From finances to governance to pastoral care, you have done the hard work to be ready for a new called ministry. And for that, I thank you. And I thank Reverend Margaret for doing the hard work. That doesn't mean that there won't be hard work together, too. But you've really gone through it. You are a mature congregation. Your rivers run deep here. You are more advanced in your social justice thinking than many of the UU congregations I've seen. And you have some serious bench strength in your leaders. And finally, you take this work of the congregation so seriously. But you don't take yourselves too seriously. I have laughed and smiled so much this week that seriously, by the end of the day, my cheeks have been hurting some of the days. And I wasn't expecting to be so fully myself with you. I have gotten to be authentically joyful and silly, slightly irreverent sometimes. Don't encourage me too much. But really, I've gotten to let my hair down. Or really, if I'm comfortable, my hair goes up. But you get the idea. And be myself. And I'm hoping that that's because you were being yourselves. And that together we can be more authentically ourselves in all of our beautiful and messy ways together. There are also some things that I've seen this week that we can do better together. There are trust issues that need to be repaired. One of the many ways that we can do that is by having more transparency in how we work with each other and in our finances. We have the opportunity to communicate better so that everyone knows what's going on and can feel connected, whether or not they are here for Sunday services. I think we can use the power of technology better and social media to reach out so everyone can feel included in this community. And finally, and maybe most importantly, I think we can find more joy together. I think you all have been through so much in our outside world dealing with the long haul and inside UUCP. So many of you have resisted going into your own blanket forts. And you have shown a resilience that is impressive and sometimes looks exhausting. I feel the need to mix up the serious work with a serious dose of fun. Bending the arc requires creativity, imagination, and innovation. It challenges us to find new ways to work together and find creative solutions that extend beyond the traditional patriarchal, hierarchical, white supremacist, hetero-focused, and ableist ways of functioning that many of us grew up with. Building community is an act of justice. Let's do justice through building this community at UUCP. Let's continue to nurture this place where we can be nourished and ready for the long haul. Let's embrace our creativity and imagination and do all the things, internally and externally. So you all have had a lot of questions for me this week, but now I've got some questions for you. Are you interested in bending that arc? Are you? Are you willing to do it together in community? Can we sustain each other and lift each other up as we do that work of the long haul? And who wants to do it with some joy? Good, because I'm in this for the long haul. Are you? Yeah. Woo! Thank you.
was just gonna